Welcome to the Divine Mess, a sanctuary where the dance of the empowered masculine and the divine feminine unfolds in all its glory. Join us as we delve into the heart of these cosmic energies, exploring their attributes and the profound impact they have on our lives. From the raw power of the masculine to the nurturing embrace of the feminine, we uncover the balance that leads to a life of abundance and joy. Our hosts, Curti Deva Perriman and Tina Ryan, are your guides on this spiritual journey who blend science with soul to offer practical wisdom for harnessing your divine energy. We celebrate the beauty and imperfection, embracing the chaos of life's journey as a catalyst for growth. The Divine Mess isn't just a podcast, it's a movement towards wholeness and self-expression. So come, laugh with us, cry with us, and grow with us. Every episode is an invitation to explore the depths of your being and to live out loud, authentically, and unapologetically. Subscribe and join our community of seekers as we support each other in this extraordinary, messy adventure we call life. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the 55th episode of the Divine Mess. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to our virtual couch. It's so lovely to have you on board. My name's Tina Marie and I am a self-love coach, and I help women with separation and divorce and understanding that they're perfect just the way they are, and they're allowed to make new choices in their life and feel amazing without all the labels that come attached with post-relationships. And as always, every week I am joined by my gorgeous French-speaking co-host, Mr. Curti Deva Perriman, who is a cosmic alchemist. And I just love the name because it encompasses everything that he is. And I will throw it over to him and allow him to introduce himself a touch more.
Oh, thank you, Tina, for this lovely introduction. A very brief one for today. And thank you. I know it's a frosty morning for you and it's still waking up mode. So just like in New Zealand and in Australia, we are hitting the winters. So it's lovely morning, like -2, like just today. By the time of the recording, it's only 5 degrees and it's sunny and you're supposed to be warmed up, but you're not. So it's like cozy inside, and I have the time to, and it's 11:11 when we are recording at this moment.
Of course it is.
What a blessed time. So basically what I do, like Tina was saying, Cosmic Alchemist is about transmuting your low vibe energies into high vibe and how you embrace your new potential and your inner hero as well. And like every single week for the past, this 20 episode, I would say, right? We have been embracing new people on our virtual couch. And last week we had the pleasure of having Ra. And for those who missed it, it's just he's a spiritual awakening mentor who helps seekers of the truth experiencing a disrupted spiritual awakening to integrate it into balance and lighten. After struggling through the dark night of the soul for many years on his path of self-realization, he recognized his suffering was a blessing actually that helped him on to understand and support hundreds of seekers through their journey with his integrated awakening process. And I feel like like Tina said before, we had like the Indian Jesus, right? And it was like just a beautiful and really soothing energy.
It was a great way to start the day. However, because the energy was so high, and you'll understand it when you listen to the episode, because my internet kept going in and out and in. But he was such a calm, easy person to just kind of flow into a conversation with. It was never stilted or, you know, sometimes when you have conversations with people that you don't know particularly well, it can be a little bit like, oh, what do I ask them next? But with him, I found it super easy, and he just he had a voice for radio, right? You just wanted to keep listening to him. And the the concept is not foreign to either of us, I don't think, in traversing dark night of the soul and learning more about ourselves and being on the watch out for mentors and guides along our path to help us remember. I think that's the biggest thing about the mentors and the guides in our life, that they help us remember who we're supposed to be, in this lifetime. I'm not saying in all lifetimes, but definitely in this lifetime, who we're supposed to be and what our mission, it's a remembrance of what our mission is and why we're here. And sometimes we need a little bit of a course correction, a little bit of a GPS realignment back onto the right path. But how did you find those little subtle reminders for yourself about the dark night of the soul? And you wind back in your own head about, oh yeah, that's right, I went through it. Oh, that wasn't very pleasant.
Yeah, well, for me, I felt very connected with his journey, because there are several like similarities, I would say, with like with our background religiously, and even when he mentioned, especially that part when he said he was depressed during his like spiritual awakening, that's something I can relate to when I couldn't understand at the really start of my journey, I would say. When I first came to New Zealand, I think like because being away from Mauritius as well, I think that's where you're not at home yet within yourself. So when you're going through that spiritual awakening where you're like shredding all those limiting belief, all your old self, like your people that you knew, they you don't resonate anymore with them. So you feel kind of lost in that moment because you don't have that support. And I feel what Rai is doing with his journey, and as he's helping as a mentor, guiding so many souls into that journey, into that path, I feel that's really important. And definitely, like you said, there are like subtle reminders of what I've went through, and how much I have grown. So really, it was an acknowledgement of how much I have grown, and also how far or deep, I would say, I could go within myself, because there's so much more treasure within ourselves that we need. And that's why we are constantly meeting those people like back to back. Every For us, the recording happen like every second day sometime. That's how it is. So it feels like we are meeting people constantly that are reminding us, and it's the universe speaking through them. For me, it's like also Ra was a gentle reminder of how you can help light workers as well in this journey. Because as light workers as well, we go through those journey, and we feel, and people look up for us, just like coaches. Our clients look up for us and feel that, oh yeah, you never been through what I'm going through. And so it was a reminder that actually light workers as well, we go through that, but we don't talk much about it. So it was good to have someone that's a mentor, that's sharing his story, his spiritual awakening process when he was a kid, for example, what he remembered and how he grew up. And in those, we had two conversation prior to the recording as well, and the recording. So we had two conversation, and during those two conversation, he was really vulnerable and honest and open about his journey. And for me, especially, connecting with the Eastern tradition was a major thing in that episode. And it's reminder how beautiful even the Eastern tradition is, and how we can merge it with the Western as well, how we can play it with the Western world. There's no difference, it's just oneness. but it's how you term it maybe, and how you have to go deeper in understanding, in explaining maybe sometime. How was it for you to understand those? Was it difficult for you to understand some terms?
The follow along sometimes was a little bit of a challenge. However, the depth of your knowledge and I could see where both of you as young men would have struggled against the ways that, you know, your parents wanted to bring forth, and particularly for Ra, obviously with his father being a Guruji. Is that correct? Did I get that right? So like being the parish priest, or, you know, like if you're relating it to, you know, Celtic or Western, you know, being the father of the church, or, you know, the person that people would go to for their spiritual enlightenment, and to be surrounded by that, but then also to have the weight of the community on you, that this was going to be your chosen path also, you know. And I kind of had images of him being like wrapped up in like bubble wrap, and him trying to kind of, you know, break out of all of that and going, but that's not who I am. You know, no one's giving me the opportunity to work out who I am. But he was being given all the signs of who he was. He just didn't want to hear it, you know. And I think that's like for most of us when we go through those journeys, that we're given a mission, but it's like when your parents tell you something and you want to stick both fingers in your ears and go, la, 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 you know, I'm not listening to that. I don't want to hear it. I want to try and go, you know, and then you go down paths that are not meant for you, and you're experimenting and you're trying things out. And I know what's best for me. Maybe you don't. But you get led back to where you're supposed to be, where you're meant to be. You know, sometimes if it is with you being dragged, kicking and screaming, you still end up where your contract is, where you signed on the dotted line before you came here, and it said, this is what I've signed up to do. This is who I've signed up to be. Even though you don't remember in the beginning, you get subtle. Like he was saying, you know, at 5, standing out in the garden and being told, this is who you're going to be. And then again, when he was a teenager, and, you know, then again being a young man, and him going, but I want to experiment, and I want to see all the different facets of who I am, you know. And I loved his explanation of why he got into acting, you know, because it gave him the ability to work through all the things that he'd learned at university in his psychology degree about what all these different facets looked like, what all these different conditions may have looked like within himself, you know. And that for me felt really brave, like you're willing to try on what that looks like, whereas most people were too scared to even contemplate the idea of mental illnesses and, you know, bipolar disorder and being schizophrenic and all of those things. They don't even want to contemplate it. But he was literally in there with both hands in the melting pot going, I'm ready, give it, you know, give it to me, show me what it looks like. But also with having that willingness, it means he has a level of acceptance and understanding of what other people are going through, and what it could possibly look like for them. So, you know, I think it was the universe's way of coaching him and mentoring him through being better at his role now. Well, that, you know, that was my contemplation on it. But yeah, like your culture absolutely fascinates me, and the thought of that there is so many different gods and goddesses to worship and to find strength in and to call on when you need help, you know. And I suppose from, you know, the Catholic point of view, there's, you know, there is the Almighty, but then there's all the guardian angels that you can call on all the time. So I, like you say, there is such similarities between Western and Eastern. It's just they're given different faces and they're given different names. And I sometimes wish people were more accepting that they could look just a little bit below the surface and see that it's all there. It's all universal consciousness. It's all the same. It's just got a different box and bow on it. Like I don't see that there is any difference, but there's a lot of people who would argue till they're blue in the face and curling over and telling me that I'm completely wrong. However, I think there's a lot of learning to be had in gaining friends who don't come from the same cultural and social background as you. I've got some gorgeous Mauritian friends who are so lovely. Not only the man that I host the podcast with, but my very dear friend who is also from Mauritius, and the things that I take from her. And she's a practicing Muslim, so there is a lot that I take from her and how she sees the world in going, and her faith is just unwavering. Like she has gone through challenge after challenge, and the thing that has kept her rock steady is her faith. And I think that's the thing that I took from Ra as well, is that his faith provided him a sense of self and a sense of grounding and a sense of direction in the way in which he was going. And I know it does the same for you as it does for your parents as well. So it's interesting when you don't have as strong a connection with a religious faith like I do, because I don't necessarily agree with everything that Catholicism stands for. So I found my own way of practicing what I think is what I would call as faith. For me, it's more spirituality than it is religion, but the admiration for other religious practices and what it gives people, it's like, gives them a sense of self, a sense of belonging, a sense of where they're meant to be in time and space. And it's like, maybe I need to dive into a few other faiths and religions to see what I can take from it. But it's all such a gorgeous learning exercise, being open at least to learning about it anyway. So I just found I felt like a backseat driver with the two of you, because it was like two best mates catching up and going, and then I could see your head nodding and the big grin on your face and going, he's been there too. He's seen that as well. He's had that conversation.
Because there are so many points that I can resonate with him. Like you were talking about the faith, for example. I think in one article that I read, they say in Hinduism, there's up to 330 million, I think, god and goddesses across India or in the Hindu culture, whatever it is. That's one article stating that. But I believe that, like you said, we have a God for everything. And for the other cultures, it could be in you have archangels, so we have the equivalent as well in a way. But I noticed for example, there's one vivid example that I have. There's a Lord Ganesha in Hindu. He's in the Japanese culture as well. So you have a version of him where he looked like a Japanese samurai or something, which is quite funny. For me, I find it funny, but they pray him as well. My favorite that I talk about is Lord Murugan. He's considered to be the Lord of yoga, for the Kundalini awakening. That's who you connect with. In terms of the Western, if I have to match it, it will be if you want to access your Akashic record, he's the one you go to ask for permission. For us, it's like asking for permission, if
Yeah.
I have to say that in
Yeah.
those terms. And so you have all those equivalent that you can found. But unfortunately, in history, I feel that the the Hinduism or any other religion has been put down a lot. And that's where there is a misunderstanding at times of how rich the culture is, how rich it is, and how deep it is when you really look into that. For example, like if you look at astrology, like for us, when they do like when you're born, like the astrology that they look into, like they didn't have any equipment when they designed that. There was no telescope like seeing all of that. Yet they could like tell you like to the exact point what could be happening. And that's what they say. It's a potential that it
Mm.
can happen. It doesn't mean it will happen.
Yeah.
And they could like just look at the stars and just tell you. And based on your name, like for me, for example, the name I was given is based on the day, time, location I was born in. So it's all related for us. So even when he was given his name, like his official name was, he was saying like Shakti Kumar. So Shakti is already power.
Mm.
It's already the power, the feminine power within you. And Ra as well was given by his mentor, I believe,
Yeah.
in the Western world, if I'm not mistaken, because I know Ra come from a Egyptian perspective. And
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, it's the god of sun or goddess of sun, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it was given. But you can that's the oneness in all those tradition, because at the core, like even like you mentioned your friend Dina, right? So I grew
Mm.
up with Muslim friend as well. So if you look at the core, it's all about love. It's all, and I always admire for Muslim, for example, the level of discipline in prayer and understanding your religion. Like
Mm-hmm.
since you're a kid, it's like integrated in your system.
Yeah.
It's like that level of commitment. Like I know for men, for example, they do 5 times prayer for the Muslim,
Mm.
and 5 times a day they go to the mosque for the men, for example. And that's incredible. Like
Yeah.
I remember on one episode of Survivor, there was a Muslim guy, even based on the sun, how the sun position, he was doing 5 times prayer. Even if he was in a game on an island, on a remote island, and
Yeah.
that's how committed he was to do his prayer. And that's something we can learn from them, is like as well, like the level of commitment towards your rituals and practice and discipline that's ingrained in you. And
Yeah.
whatever religion you come from, it doesn't matter. And I feel that can help you in your spiritual awakening to
Yeah.
make it like more gentle or
Mm.
accelerate it. and
Yeah.
uh, and you won't feel that shock or rude awakening in a way, but you will
Yeah.
rather become accepting of it.
Yeah.
Because for us, like whatever is happening is like it's happening for us. It's not happening to us, it's happening for us. And we look for the divine in, like I grew up with that, like you look for the divine in everyone that you meet, even in the trees, even no matter what, you look for that divine within.
I think
And
it's such a powerful way to be because it's appreciation of the beauty and the things that it can give to us by being appreciative of it. So I think a lot of religions would benefit from being together and sharing, their practices and their understanding of the universe, because we all come from one thing, all of us, but everybody wants to put their labels, and you know how I feel about that. They want to put their label on it so they can identify with a particular box that they get to stand in, because it provides a level of comfort, and a level of ease, and going, well, this is my box and this is the one I belong to, and there's no windows on the side, so I can't see out and I can't see what someone else is doing. But from this point of view, from front on, I don't agree with what you're doing. We're not looking for similarities and understanding. We're looking to point out people's differences and how they don't fit with, because I think most people would look at the two of us and go, they don't fit. How do they fit? How can they be such good friends? They don't fit. The commonalities between us are less. But I think it's the mission that is the commonality between us, and the fact that we were honest and upfront with one another, which we possibly weren't with other people. And so it was, I was prepared for a learning journey the minute I stepped in, and it's exactly what I've gotten out of it. And I don't think I'd want to do it with anybody else. In terms of being able to be who I am and to explore all these amazing humans that we get to have conversations with. And I think Ra is just, and it's unusual for us to have guys on the podcast, which is, I think that's fabulous to have
It's changing. It's changing.
male perspective. I know I've seen our calendar and what it's looked like, moving forward. But I love hearing a man's perspective on feeling spiritually called and what that looks like, and how they integrate it into their daily activities, and understanding that things are not surface level and being believers before seers, that they're prepared to just, but, harnessing the masculine energy well, and not coming up from, that ugly, wounded, egoic space, just really accepting the balance between the two. And just providing, such, like you say, such taps up the back of the head and going, yeah, maybe I'm not having as many conversations with my guides as I should. Or that, I have the ability to do so. So why am I not? What am I avoiding? What am I, what do I not want to hear? What am I jamming my fingers in my ears for and not wanting to hear? So yeah, I love every week, and the people that, come and join us on the sofa. And wouldn't it just be wonderful to have all of our guests in one spot and have this, amazing conversations and bringing everybody into one space for all the unique and different abilities that they have, this massive melting pot of gorgeous people. Like, I'd love to see what that looked like. Could you imagine it? If we can't keep our internet straight for 3 people, imagine what it would look like for 100 people.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, like if our internet will be able to handle that, because like I think for the last few episodes that we had different frequencies of people, like in terms of how they vibrate, in terms how they serve the world, our internet was not like coping at all. Like it couldn't. Like I noticed, like for example, with Jacob, with Zara, and now with Ra as well, it was happening. And it's like evolving with those guests. It's like constantly when you're having those like high vibrational being that has been working on themselves a lot and has been maybe further down the journey of spiritual awakening, like
Yeah.
on their path, and you can see that they are embracing fully their energy, and it's just amazing that you're like the internet wouldn't work at all, like it doesn't cope, and we had some. It's like fascinating that after I think 50 or episode that we were experiencing internet problem when we never had any issue. Like
No,
it's just
we've never,
incredible.
right? But I think it's, you know, being in a space where it is evolving and
Mm,
we're asking more of ourselves
mm,
and we're doing a different level of work at the moment, you know, and we were talking about, you know, with Ra, talking about mentors and when they finally turn up. And
mm.
I had one of those experiences last week. So it's scary to kind of step into that. Am I ready? Am I ready? Am I ready? And your soul's going, oh, for God's sake, just step off the damn platform and get on the damn train. You know, come on, you've walked around your block for 12 months and you've asked and you've asked and you've asked and you've asked, and now I'm giving it to you, and now you're hesitating. What the actual? Just get on board, get the work done. As one of my girlfriends would say, stop being such a bitch and just do what you need to do.
I think you should listen to the book Get Lucky Bitch.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I have done some of Denise Duffield Thomas's
Oh,
stuff
okay, okay.
with Amanda. Um,
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, I have her app on my phone.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for people who are listening, I'm not swearing at Tina. I'm not saying that. It's just a it's just a book
It's a
and
book written by
mm,
Denise Duffield Thomas, and it's called "Get Rich, Lucky Bitch."
yeah.
So it's about financial abundance and noticing when the universe is giving you a leg up. You know, for example, if you walk into a store and without being asked, you get 10 or 15% discount because someone just likes the look of you, then you have to allocate that in your app to say that, you know, the saving was $150. So you've got to throw that in the column of thank you very much, universe, for giving me $150. And,
Okay.
you know, it's that sort of thing. Or, you know, like for example, I think when I was doing it, I won a few competitions online. So one of them was worth like $500 in product, and another one was an experience to learn how to make a really good old fashioned at one of the small bars in town. So, you know, and they rated that experience at like $150. So within a week, there was like $650 unexpected
Wow.
in, you know, in the tally account. But it's a good one to kind of have in terms of when you work at a shopping centre, because one where I'm working at the moment is part of a shopping centre. So you go to any of the food outlets and they say, "Do you work here?" And you go, "Yes." And so then there's like a 5% discount. So you have to put that 5% aside because you would have spent, you know, let's say a cup of coffee. So you would have paid $6 for a cup of coffee. However, you put that, you know, 30 cents aside and you go, okay, well, that's got to, you know, I was happy to spend $6, but I've got to take that 30 cents out of my coffee cup money and chuck it in my savings account because it was a bonus. So it's just all those minute savings that then you start to see how financially abundant that you are.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
A beautiful tangent that we went off, of
we did
course.
just a
Oh,
little fraction.
just like our episode, right? Like it's a part of the divine mess, but it's a beautiful sharing because I've been listening to her book, Chill and Prosper. That's how I
Mm,
discovered her. And
yeah.
yeah, it's fun to listen to her. I love how genuine, authentic she is. And what I liked most about it was she had emotion um client, I think, and she had an example about her, and I was like, yeah, There you go. So we got Mauritius in her book. That make
Oh,
me the
and my
happiest.
mentor has a Mauritian secretary. And the guy that delivers the packages to our store is the Mauritian guy from the last shopping center I worked at. And
Okay.
then he's walked in and gone, bonjour. And I'm like, oh, it's you again. So
Yeah.
they follow me around. What can I say?
That's all of the oneness that we have been talking about, like
Yeah,
there's no like it's not different. Like it's a small world in a way
yeah,
because see, no matter where you're going, you're being surrounded by Mauritians, which is incredible. I found it's like you have a community of Mauritian around you, and it's like you
yeah.
have not yet been there. And I'm pretty sure you will have so many places that we can recommend that you
I'll be
wouldn't have a
standing in a
clue.
store speaking in Australian, and then they'll go, I know that voice.
Yeah, so it's just amazing like how we can connect like no
Yeah,
matter where you live. And I feel that's how on your spiritual journey, on your spiritual awakening, that's how you start finding your soul tribe when you're finding yourself.
yeah.
Like those people come to place and maybe you have a history, like your ancestors, maybe they are the one who conquered Mauritius. I don't know. Like I'm
Well,
getting that vibe now.
There's French in the background. There's French in the blood, right? So um, it's in there somewhere. It's either, it's a genetic thing or it's a soul-led thing. Who knows? But I'm up to day 150 of practicing my French. So we will get there. And
Yeah,
I will
we'll
be
do.
brave I'll be brave like your mama who did the podcast in English and endeavour
Yeah.
to remember to get my words around the right way when I speak French because I think I need to take some lessons from your mum.
Yeah, well, you can, and we can do one episode in French then without you Google translating, or that will be
When I
awesome.
send you Google translated stuff.
Yeah, I just know. You just know when you speak another language and you see someone translating it like literally, and you're like, yep, this is how
Mm-hmm.
it is.
Where I'm doing my best. I'm trying, and I can read some stuff and go, yeah, I think I understand what they're saying because they're sending me paragraphs now in learning French, and I'm going, yep, 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 yep. I get what they're saying, and these are my choices, and like, yep, I'm sure that one's right. And it's like winning.
When you're saying that, I'm feeling like on our spiritual journey, that's how it is. Our guides send us like they don't send us the whole paragraph because or else our mind will go so crazy that we can't even understand one word. Like even one word we like, uh-huh, yeah,
Mhm,
you need to send a bit more of that, then I will
mhm,
get it.
mhm.
Like the angel numbers.
Yeah, but it doesn't show up the way in which you expect it to.
Mm,
Like you're asking for something to be delivered in a certain package, and it it doesn't, like when having that conversation with Ra and him saying that the journey he underwent to find his mentor and what he went through in order to follow
mm,
his mentor and the work that, he could only see him once a year and the
yeah.
work he had to do on his own in order to be a more enlightened soul
Mm,
was amazing,
yeah.
and considering he was looking at people through the lens of photography, so being, an outsider and looking in, and then, being on the acting stage and being the insider looking out, portraying things for people then to be viewing him and viewing the characters in which he played. So it was it's that real duality, right, of the
Mm,
dark and the light, and how you see things, because as humans we can't, we make something mean either one or the other. but they exist together at the same time. So the thing that you put bad connotations on, there was also good stuff in it. You just can't see it that way. But I think when we start to go on this journey, we begin to understand the duality, and we begin to understand that you can't have one without the other. And that in order to live a more aligned life, we have to find the balance in the middle. And we have to walk on the white lines in the middle of the road in order to find where we're meant to go. You know, you walk too far on one side, you're going to become unhinged, unbalanced, not following where you need to go, and it will take you on a completely different path. So that's kind of what I took from his conversation, was his ability to find his center very quickly throughout all of the trials and the tribulations that he went through, but then his love for his father and the upbringing that he had, and the foundational pieces that gave him in order to be the man he is today. Like, we can all look at the foundations that we've been given as children and want to find fault in it, or want to find fault in the people that provided it, or the friendships and all of those sorts of things. But I think we also have to agree that the people that have provided it were doing the best that they could with the level of knowledge that they had. Whether they are spiritual mentors, or whether they're primary school teachers, or whether they're mechanics, they're doing the best with what they have at any given point in time, and it's up to us as to what we do with it. And if we don't like the mentorship that we got in our foundational stages, then we need to go and find ones that can reframe it for us.
Yeah. And, like he mentioned that he went on, I think 7 years before finding his mentor. And sometimes like we don't see, like the mentor is not here, or someone is not guiding you, but you're always being guided no matter what you believe. And sometimes you don't see any results, or you don't see anything happening, but it's all part of your spiritual journey that's preparing you for the next level, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
And that's part of the spiritual awakening, like he went through that journey of 7 years, and then when he found his mentor in 10 days, he had like several spiritual awakening. So he needed that 7 years to get to that point where you get an accelerated version. We are not saying that you need to do the same, uh, but it's depending on your each person's journey. And that's what I learned. That's what I realized and reflected upon, is like from his episode, was sometimes you don't see it, sometimes you don't feel that there's any change happening.
Yeah.
But in the background, you want to call the angels, archangels, whatever it is, they are working. The divine is working in the background, and is like orchestrating all those little, like meetings. Like, for example, you're meeting like the Mauritian community for you. I feel like you are going to create like a Mauritian community in Perth. Like, there's already one, I believe. I'm pretty sure there is one I know of. And yeah, you can connect with them. Don't worry, we'll make you connect with them, because since you found like a niche for you, right? But
Maybe I have.
but it's so coming back to the divine mess episode, right? Coming back to the spiritual awakening, like sometimes you have to go through that journey on your own,
Yeah.
um, to find who you truly are. And it's not about going on a cave, or it's not about like living, you know, like just like isolating you. It's not about isolating you, but it's about going within. And sometimes we go through that season of what we feel is isolation, but it's like
Yeah.
the universe protecting you, and it's like that winter season
Mhm.
where you're like really transmuting and you're really changing within, and then the outside will change.
Yeah.
But our human mind will never sit. Our human mind will always find things that are not working or that
It's
are
the loneliness, or it's
mm,
the feeling like you don't quite fit, I think is the challenge with it. You know, that you used to fit with certain people, and then the universe kind of knocks you away from those people, and you're like, but why? They felt like good people. And it's like, well, you've got to go and mix with some other people. These ones are not for you. They felt like for you, but they're not. You know, reason, season, lifetime, I think, is the thing that we need to keep in mind. And a lot of people are there for a reason, you know, whether it's testing your boundaries, whether it's, you know, testing your faith, whatever it happens to be, they're there to teach you something, you know. And we were speaking to another guest, and, you know, her mindset on it is, what is this teaching me? What am I meant to be taking from it? You know, and if you go into every interaction with people, what's it teach me about myself? What can I take from it? How can I be a better version of myself? You know, in the now, you know, in tomorrow, how can I be more? How can I give more? How can I be of service more? What can I do? Because the more you're giving, you must give to yourself first. Let's stipulate that before you do anything else. You have to give to yourself, and you have to be in a space where you can care for yourself adequately in order to be able to give to others. But whilst you're in that space, take good care of your energy, of the people that are surrounding you, and ask the question, are they making me want to be a better person? Are they asking me to be a better version of myself? Or am I the smartest individual in the room, and do I need to go and find a new group of humans to hang out with? You know, and I think, you know, that's what a lot of it is. What I took away from Ra's conversation was that he kept moving and moving and moving and moving to endeavor to find where he was meant to be. I don't think he ever dreamed he was going to land in Southern California, but that's where he is, and that's where he's had the greatest impact in being able to help people. We have to keep an open mind about where our journey is going to take us, and where, you know, we'll end up being led by our guides, whether it be Lord Ganesha, or whether it be Archangel Michael, or whether it be Buddha, whoever is, you know, the guide for you. They won't steer you wrong, but you've got to be prepared. My life lesson, sitting in the passenger seat and surrendering. See, I told you I'd bring it in. He's killing himself laughing. But we have to surrender to what we're here to do. Because the more you fight it, the more difficult your life is. And life is not meant to be struggle street. There is meant to be an ease and a flow to it. But if you go against your divine making, it will be struggle street, and it will be difficult, because there are lessons that you need to learn in order to be best version of yourself. So Ra was one of the best that we've had, apart from my internet struggles. I enjoyed his company. I enjoyed his tone of voice and his energy, and just his ability to see everything that has happened in his life as divinely guided. And I loved that. And it makes you look back over your own life and go, ah, yes, okay, I can see that. I can see that. And I can see that.
I think it's high time we consider to call this podcast Divine Surrender or something, because it's
I'm going to get
like
t-shirts printed, I reckon. I'm just going to
yeah,
get t-shirts printed. It would
I
be so
think
much
by
easier.
in every single episode we mentioned that word.
Mhm.
I can't remember one where we didn't mention at all
No,
about
no.
surrender in some form or another.
I'm endeavoring to practice on a daily basis. It is a thoughtful process for me, that trusting and letting go. And yes, I can hear the Frozen song going 1,000 miles an hour.
That's your tune. Like that's
Yeah,
your tune.
yeah, I know. And I can hear you singing it in French. So that's that is for me. That is my thing. Everybody has their thing. So, you know,
But I feel
it's
like you said, about Ra is like just amazing, soothing energy, like and
mm,
it was just one of the best, like you said, to have on board. Uh, and it was so welcoming. And we explore only we feel like it's just 1% or
scratch
0.1%.
on the surface, isn't it?
Yeah. And for those listening, like we would tell you, like, go back and listen again and
Mm,
again whenever you feel like life is not going your way. Just listen to a calm voice that's telling you everything is happening for you, not to
mm,
you. If I have to
great.
paraphrase uh his episode, I would say, was like,
Yeah.
for me the main lesson was like everything is happening for you, and
Yeah.
that's it. I think on that note, my friend, like, we'll call it a day.
Fabulous.
It's been a pleasure again, like, to reflect on this episode. We went on
Mm.
different tangents, which was
As
interesting.
as we always do. As we
It
always
was it
do.
was so good though, like even like your explanation about the needs work, and that's something we can explore more later, like to share with our audience. I feel
Mm.
because she's so practical, she's one of those most practical person I heard for
Just a
a very
practical
long.
Aussie doing what she needs to do, right? To help
Yeah,
other people get where they need to
just get it
go.
on.
Mhm.
It's like just do it attitude, and
Absolutely.
which I really like, and that's something you can apply to your spiritual journey as well. And in the show note, we'll put Ra has a 2-hour masterclass that he does. It's free, where you
Mm.
can connect with him as well. And he does live. I notice he's doing live now, and he's showcasing his community as well, which was seemed like a fun one, obviously. So we'll put all those details in the show note. You can connect with him on Facebook. He's a really cool person to connect with, and really cool to speak about spirituality in a very Zen mode fashion. And like Tina nicknamed him Indian Jesus, right?
Jesus. Hmm.
And yeah, but it was fun. So thank you, Tina, for today. I will leave the last word for you, of course.
Well, always a big thank you to you, my dear friend, for hanging out with me for an hour and having a conversation. And to all of you listening, we love you. Thank you for your time, as we know it's your most precious asset. And we look forward to having you join us on the couch next week for episode 56. But until then, enjoy the rest of your week and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. We'll see you.